How Trump is forcing Pfizer to lower your drug costs. Have you ever stared at the price of a prescription and just felt powerless? That little bottle of pills you need costs hundreds, maybe thousands of dollars. For decades, Americans have paid 2 to 3 times more for the exact same drugs as people in other developed countries. It's a system that feels completely rigged, with pharmaceutical giants like Pfizer and Eli Lilly calling the shots while your bank account takes the hit. For years, it has felt like a crisis with no solution. But what if the key to smashing this system is coming from a very unexpected place? We're going to explore how a controversial Trump-era strategy, leveraging the most favored nation rule, is designed to force these massive corporations to dramatically slash their prices. Imagine walking into a pharmacy and paying the same low price for your medication as someone in France or Canada. For millions, this could soon be a reality. And the story of how it's happening is a high-stakes battle of economic hardball. Section 1. The Problem, the Great American Ripoff. For decades, Americans have been legally scammed by pharmaceutical companies. One policy could change everything. Here's the infuriating truth. The higher price you pay for medication in the United States directly subsidizes the lower prices people pay in Europe, Japan, and Canada. It's a phenomenon the Trump administration calls global freeloading, and you've been footing the bill. Let's make this real. An asthma inhaler that costs an American patient nearly $500 out of pocket might cost a patient in the United Kingdom less than $40. It's the same story for drugs treating arthritis, diabetes, heart disease, and cancer. The companies argue these high American prices are necessary to fund their massive R&D budgets, claiming the US market is the engine of global medical innovation. But for the average American, that argument rings hollow when they're forced to choose between life-saving medication and rent. The system is a complex web of patent laws, a lack of government price negotiation for programs like Medicare, and billions in lobbying that has kept prices astronomically high. It's a system that has allowed companies like Pfizer, Eli Lilly, and Novo Nordisk to generate record profits, while patients are left with the financial burden. So that's the problem. A system that drains your wallet for the same pill that costs a fraction of the price overseas. For years, politicians have promised a fix, with little success. But how do you force a multi-trillion-dollar global industry to change its entire business model? It turns out, you don't ask nicely. You need a very, very big stick. Section 2. The Solution. Trump's two-pronged attack. In 2025, the Trump administration unleashed a powerful two-pronged attack on the pharmaceutical industry, using a classic carrot-and-stick approach to force prices down. First, the stick. In late September 2025, President Trump announced a stunning threat: a 100% tariff on all imported, branded pharmaceutical drugs. Let's be clear. If a company like Pfizer made a drug in Ireland and imported it to the US for $100 a dose, the tariff threat meant that cost could instantly double to $200. This move was designed to make importing branded drugs financially crippling. But there was an escape clause. A company could avoid these devastating tariffs if they were actively building new pharmaceutical manufacturing plants in America. The message was simple: bring manufacturing home, or your business model is finished. This massive threat set the stage for the carrot, the most favored nation deals, or MFN. The concept is brilliantly simple. An MFN deal mandates that a drug company cannot charge the United States more for a drug than the lowest price it charges in a comparable developed nation. No more paying $500 for a drug that costs $40 in another wealthy country. Under an MFN agreement, the US price would have to drop to that $40 level. The trade-off was stark. A company could sign an MFN pricing agreement with the US government in exchange for promising to sell their drugs at the lowest global price, particularly to massive government programs like Medicaid. They would receive a 3-year exemption from the 100% tariffs. It was an offer designed to be impossible to refuse. Faced with radically lowering their prices or seeing their import costs double overnight, the pharmaceutical giants were finally forced to the negotiating table. Section 3. The dominoes fall. Pfizer and Eli Lilly cave. The tariff threat worked faster than anyone anticipated. The first major domino to fall was one of the biggest: Pfizer. On September 30th, 2025, the company struck a landmark deal with the Trump administration. Pfizer agreed to provide most favored nation pricing for all of its medicines to every state Medicaid program in the country. It also pledged that all new drugs would be launched in the US at the same low MFN price offered globally. In return, Pfizer secured a 3-year tariff exemption, but it came with a major commitment. The company agreed to invest $70 billion in its US-based research, development, and manufacturing. Once Pfizer caved, the floodgates opened. On October 10th, AstraZeneca followed suit, agreeing to an MFN deal for its drugs sold to Medicaid and committing to a $50 billion investment in the US. A few days later, EMD Serono, a major producer of fertility drugs, also signed on, promising significant discounts on its IVF therapies. But for millions of Americans, the biggest news came on November 6, 2025. That's when Novo Nordisk and Eli Lilly, two of the most talked about companies, came to the table. They agreed to MFN pricing for their drug portfolios, including their wildly popular and expensive GLP-1 medications for diabetes and obesity, Ozempic, Wegovy, and Zepbound. Under the deal, the monthly prices of drugs like Ozempic and Wegovy, which can run over $1,000, are set to fall to just $350 when purchased through a new platform. These agreements also came with massive investment commitments to expand U.S. manufacturing, with Novo Nordisk pledging $10 billion and Eli Lilly committing to at least $27 billion. A key part of these deals is the creation of a new federal website, TrumpRx.gov. Set to launch in 2026, this platform will allow American consumers to purchase medications directly from the manufacturers at these new, lower cash prices, bypassing the complex insurance and pharmacy benefit manager system. For certain Pfizer drugs, the discounts are advertised to be as high as 80–85%. Section 4. The naysayers. What's the catch? As promising as this sounds, this aggressive strategy isn't without risks and criticisms. Shaking up a global industry this radically is bound to cause some turbulence. First, there are serious concerns about supply chain disruptions. Forcing a massive overnight shift in manufacturing from established overseas plants to new U.S. facilities could, in the short term, lead to shortages of critical medicines. Building and certifying a new pharmaceutical plant is a complex and time-consuming process. Second, critics worry that this policy primarily targets high-cost, branded drugs. While that's where the most egregious price gouging happens, the vast majority of prescriptions filled in the U.S. are for lower-cost generic drugs. It remains to be seen how this policy will affect the price and availability of those essential medicines. Finally, there's the question of enforcement. Could pharmaceutical companies try to raise prices in other countries to soften the blow of MFN pricing in the US? While the policy is designed to peg the price to the lowest cost nation, the global pricing landscape is complex. Critics also argue that MFN pricing could disincentivize innovation in the long run if companies feel their profits are too constrained. These are the big questions that will determine if this gamble truly pays off. The battle over prescription drug costs has raged for decades, with American patients always on the losing end. President Trump's strategy of using the brute force threat of 100% tariffs to secure most favored nation pricing deals is one of the most aggressive assaults on the industry's pricing power ever attempted. Companies like Pfizer, AstraZeneca, and Eli Lilly are now publicly agreeing to lower costs and invest billions in American manufacturing. The creation of platforms like TrumpRx.gov signals a fundamental shift toward price transparency and direct-to-consumer access. It's a high-stakes geopolitical brawl with your wallet caught in the middle. The question is, will it finally deliver the fair, affordable drug prices that Americans have been demanding for decades? What do you think about this strategy? Is it a masterstroke that will finally bring relief, or are there serious risks we're overlooking? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you found this analysis valuable, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the policies that shape your world.